Welcome to the Private Practice Journeys podcast, where mental health professionals learn about the nuts and bolts of private practice by listening to the journeys of 4 therapists that have taken the plunge into private practice. And here's your host, Chris Quarto.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Quarto. Welcome back to the Private Practice Journeys podcast series. We took a little bit of time off, but glad that you've come back to listen to some more episodes. We have Lisa Duez on today talking about things that she's been doing over the past several months. So without further ado, here's Lisa. Hey everyone, welcome back to Private Practice Journeys. It's been a while. We've taken a break over the summer, and it's nice to get back to it. Now, if you recall, what we've done is we started this podcast back in January, and I'm interviewing 4 therapists who started their private practices at the beginning of the year, and I'm just kind of following them throughout 2017, interviewing them on a monthly basis just to see how things are going and what it's really like to start a private practice and all the ins and outs and all that good stuff. Now, we took a break during the summer, but we're going to get back to it to finish out the year. And to get back to it now in September, we're going to start with Lisa Duez. And Lisa, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Well, yeah. So before we kind of get into the meat of all this private practice stuff, just if you could just kind of share with us, what is one fun thing that you did this summer?
Oh gosh, we did lots of fun stuff.
Uh-huh.
I think the highlight of my summer is usually going camping.
Oh yes.
So we go about 10 days, and we go to. I'll brag on my state a little bit. We go to the mountains of Virginia. We go to a place called Smith Mountain Lake, which is near Roanoke. But up in the blue, the mountains of Virginia, there's a lot of waterfalls and trails. And so we go with a bunch of people. That's just our annual trip. So that's always just fun. And this year was really good for me. We had great weather and everything was good. You know,
Virginia is just a gorgeous state, and I would recommend anybody go there. We went, we're big campers too, Lisa, and when our kids were younger, I guess it was probably about 15 or 20 years ago, we decided to go to Virginia. We live in Tennessee, and so it's a next door neighbor state, and so we decided to go to a place called Natural Bridge. Which
I was there.
Okay, so you know where that is too, and boy, was that fun! We just had a great time and just a great location. So I just like to encourage any of the Journey followers, if you get a chance to go to Virginia, to consider going there for an excursion. It's worth it. So,
and if you come to Virginia Beach, look me up.
Okay. Well, listen, Lisa, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that have been going on. Now, the last time that you were on, we had actually matched you with an expert therapist, Allison Purrier, and just wanted to have you talk to her and have her give you some consulting advice. And we actually did that with all of the therapists. Each one of them were matched up with a different expert therapist, but that's who you were matched up with. And so that was the last time that you were on, and I think that was like in either late May or early June. And but a lot of things have been going on since that time, I'm sure. So just guess what I'd like to do to start our podcast today, Lisa, is maybe to talk a little bit about any new activities, new ventures that you might have going on, and anything else. Or sometimes it's possible that therapists can experience slowdowns during the summer too, because people go on vacations and all that kind of stuff. But anything that you can kind of update us on that's been going on for you over the past several months.
Okay, sure. I think since May, I have not experienced too much of the slowdown.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. I was certainly expecting it, and then I was a little surprised. I might have had a little bit more cancellations or reschedules during those months, but not necessarily a complete lull in referrals.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not complaining.
But, I can imagine, because we were just talking about vacationing a minute ago, I can imagine that if you didn't have the slowdown, it could make it kind of challenging for you to get away, to take the break that you need.
Right, because I wanted to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my kids were off school, and so I had to really learn, boundaries. I had said, I'm going to definitely take off a couple Fridays, and Fridays are light days anyway, but I really wanted to just take them off. And so, it was kind of learning how to say no to,
right.
I don't really, I can't get you until next week or something like that. Or the week after. So not a lot of slowdown. The other, I guess, big event. Well, two big events. One was I had to move my office due to some noise concerns.
Okay.
Where kind of my office was in front of the door, kind of hard to explain, and it was very disturbing to clients. And I do trauma work, and so I moved my office. I just moved next door. So that wasn't hard, but that was kind of just I was a little worried about that, and I was very surprised that I had to do that. And so soon into my journey, because I guess here's the thing is when you look at an office, it looks great and you think it's going to work and, everything looks fine. And then when you get in there, things were different. And so I'm in a better office. I feel like my clients say we're actually in a bubble. You can hear no noise when we're in session. No noise. Maybe the door, but it's just a slight door, and it's much better.
Good.
But it was a little stressful at the time. But I'm glad I did it.
Right.
The other thing is I have an admin now, and I think that was about what my consulting was about.
Okay.
Was, I was doing everything myself, and then I came to the point where I couldn't, and it was getting too stressful, and it was like when to hire an admin. So I have we call her my office manager. So she handles kind of a little bit of everything, billing and a little bit of billing, a little bit of follow-up, a little bit of invoicing, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. She's really good at just, balancing things. And I just have her for 10 hours a week, but that's that's enough.
Sure.
That's been a huge help.
That's got to take the pressure off from you and, make it, because I think all of us go into private practice wanting to do our primary, interest, which is helping clients and serving clients and, all this other stuff that goes along with it. I mean, it's sort of a necessary evil. It's kind of fun in some ways, but in another way, it's not. And when it doesn't keep being fun, and that's the time when you do what you did, obviously, is you found somebody that could help you out.
Yeah, I'm glad that I took the time to learn about the billing and about how to do this and about verifying. I'm glad I know how to do that, because you never know what ends up happening to, you never know. People leave jobs, that kind of thing. But
exactly.
But I'm also very glad for my person, and she's been a big help, and she kind of keeps me straight. She'll come in, we meet every week, and she'll say, this person's not paying you, or this person, or remember to get the co-pays, and she kind of keeps me straight. So that's good. That
is, and and that's actually one of the things when I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to touch upon with you guys next month in October. That was one of the things that I had thought about, is just to kind of talk about the systems that all of you guys have in place and how that's changed since you've started your private practice. I think that's so important to run a really. I think you're right. Mm-hmm. Well, I wonder too, just to kind of ask this question too, Lisa, is. You've been doing this since January, February, thereabouts. This private practice deal, and you were actually an administrator yourself before you went into this role as a private practitioner. And I wonder, since that time, what things that you've learned about being a business owner, or operating your practice over this course of time, and maybe you've had to make some adjustments, like you were just talking about the administrator, but I wonder if there's been other things that you've kind of learned about just kind of being a business owner since you've opened your practice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I guess it's probably state the obvious, but not state the obvious, is that everything falls on you.
All right.
But then what happens is that some of the things that you would have not thought about fall on you.
All right.
So like, I guess when I went into private practice, I didn't really feel like people would pay me, or I wouldn't get reimbursed from insurance companies, or people would, I don't know, marketing. It all just kind of falls on you. It can become very overwhelming.
Yes.
When as an administrator, I had people to do that. I had a team. We divided and conquered.
Okay.
That with a business owner, there is no divide and conquer. You are it. And so you have a choice as to kind of have to figure out what your priorities are.
Sure.
And I've kind of decided that I am going to be the customer service therapist. I'm going to make sure that I always return calls, no matter, that I always return calls every day, because one of the things that I hear from people that call is this therapist never called me.
That's right.
I can't get in until next week,
right,
or 3 weeks from now. And I'm like, I'm not going to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of, I guess, in what's changed, it's really made me look at my values. And I think I'm in a season of refining,
Okay.
Looking at my niche, looking at my website. I think we, January, February, March, April, I think for me it was just get it up and get it running.
Right. Yes.
And probably for people to be honest, that's probably just what everybody just want to just let me just open the door.
Oh yeah.
And see what actually happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, how can I do this better? How can I make my website better? And so the growing has been, who in the community do I really need to talk to, or just to put my name out there and just, beg for clients. Now I really know that there's people that send me clients because it's me.
That's right.
Isn't
that a great feeling?
So, yeah. So I think it's the growing and learning of that you have control over. I think when you first start, you don't feel like you just throw yourself out to the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, okay, or here I am, I have a website and I have a nice office. And now it's like, okay, I can be a little selective, and you get more confident.
Sure.
And I feel like I've kind of gotten that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not that it's easy and not that there won't be challenges, but you get more confidence and you get more comfortable doing therapy every day.
Mm-hmm.
As for me, I was like, now I'm more comfortable actually doing therapy every day as opposed to, I'm going to like this, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I remember during some of our first podcast episodes, it had been a while since you had really been into that core helper role, because you had been an administrator for so long.
I had been doing it part-time.
Yeah, you kind of felt a little rusty. But now it seems like you feel a lot more confident. I mean, I can even hear it in your voice that it's not only the confidence about the business owner part, but doing the therapy part too, that you're feeling a lot more confident. And boy, what a wonderful feeling that's got to be, huh?
Yeah, I would think I was a little bit more of, well, if you want to do it this way, that's okay, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, this is my policy. This is my thing. I have my late fee is half of my full fee.
Okay.
You have to keep a credit card on file. That kind of thing. Like, those things that you might not say. Because I know that I'm like, oh, okay, if this one doesn't work out, I know there'll be more. And if there's not more, I know where to go get them.
That's right. That's right. Well, now you have the confidence to know that you'll continue to get referrals. And so you can have certain policies in place, and you won't have that scarcity mindset. Like, oh boy, if I have this policy, then I might not be able to get clients, all that kind of stuff. That doesn't sound like that's really that big of an issue for you, like it had been in the past.
Right. I think it was, at first I started out and I had a lot of EAP clients, I think just because that was a good way to build. And now I have some EAP clients, but only from certain EAP places. And now my clients are mostly my niche, here and there a little bit. No, but, much better. And then I have the competency evaluations that I still do. So I get to get out in the community a little bit, which is really good for me.
Sure.
To get out and actually, go out of my office a little bit and go into detention homes and meet kids.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because it might relate to this conversation that we're having, Lisa, and it has to do with the role social media has played in your practice development. I think that all four of you therapists had done different things with social media when you were first starting up. And I wonder if you're still using that, if you're still using it as much, or if you've kind of segued and start using social media in different ways. Where's all that at this point, Lisa?
Oh, gosh. I was actually thinking about that before I got your email about what to talk about. And I was thinking, is this really working?
Yeah.
Are these worth it? I have a Facebook page. I have a Twitter that I never use. I'm not a Twitter person.
Yep.
I have Instagram, and I just did a Pinterest because people were saying that Pinterest was the way to go.
Sure.
So I did those three things, and I still keep up with them, although I'm probably not on social media as much as somebody else should be. I feel like I post, maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't mean to be funny, but I don't know how effective they are yet.
Okay.
I don't feel like they hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like my best source of referral is probably word of mouth or Psychology Today or, just people knowing me in the community.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best, and other therapists, of course.
Sure.
That's probably the best way, but I don't think that it hurts, but I'm not that person that has 20,000 Twitter followers or anything like that, but I'm not that person. But if I see a good article, I'll put it on my Facebook page or something, but I guess I'm not. I guess that's what everybody else does too. I'd be interested to see how everybody else responds.
I think that's a very honest response that you made there, and I appreciate it because, you were talking a little while ago about how it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially when you're first starting in private practice. But even with the social media, it's easy to feel overwhelmed because you listed
a lot
them.
To do.
Yeah, there's just all these options, and there, to some extent, there is this comparison factor. It's like, oh, look at what all these therapists are doing, and I should be doing that. It's just there's only so much of you to go around. And I've heard different philosophies about this, but I think probably the one that I think is probably the most reasonable is just to select one social media outlet and stick with that one, and don't worry about the other ones until you're feeling as though you kind of got a handle on that one social media, Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, and then maybe branch out a little bit after that. But it still boils down to the fact that there's only so much of you to go around. And what is it that you want to communicate to your ideal client or your audience? What is it that you want to get across to them? And I think that that's just kind of making a presence in a different way. I agree with you. I'm kind of more of a word of mouth type of guy in person. Yeah, that kind of guy. But I do see the relevance and the importance of having the social media presence as well, so people can get to know you that way.
Yeah, it was funny because before this morning, I was trying to figure out what to do, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's a probation officer, and she says, well, probation officers, Lisa, we like pens. So I was like, okay, let me get some pens. So I was on there this morning, being overwhelmed with all of the pens.
Yes.
Because there's a million of them. And so I ended up ordering pens, but I how you overthink and you become very overwhelmed, and I'm like, I'm about to put my name and my phone number on a pen. What does that actually mean? So I got the pens, no big deal. But I was like, you have to work on, the whole social media and everything that we do. A website is just branding.
Right.
That's exactly and so it's how do I want to brand myself? And I think as therapists, I'm an extroverted person, but I guess I never really thought that I would be having to put my name on a pen or something like that, It's really funny.
Yeah.
Or put my name on an Instagram or something. And it's just, I guess it never occurred to me. And it's like, am I comfortable with it? I'm not comfortable with it, but I'm like, kind of like, now who's going to get these pens?
Right. And we, let's face it. I mean, we weren't trained in doing marketing or anything like that in graduate school. I mean, there's nothing like that. So I think it's new territory for a lot of us to be doing these things. And I agree. I think that thinking of, even with the pen example, what is the best way to communicate my brand? If not only my name, but you're right, your brand. What is it about me?
Brand.
Yeah, that I want people to know, and who I am, what I'm all about, and what's the best way of going about that. And if you do select a social media outlet, what's the best way to do that on that particular social media outlet, whether it's with words, whether it's pictures, whatever or audio, whatever it is that you're doing. I mean, there's so much to think about in terms of how you use social media. And I'm so glad that there are some places that will support like I've noticed at John Clark's Unconditional Media, he started this company to kind of help with marketing and along these lines. And it's so nice to have these people out there who are supporting therapists. And so if you don't really know how to do this, there are options of people who can help you. So that's a real nice resource.
Yeah, I'm lucky because in my community, I've been working in my community about 20 years, so people know me.
Yep.
And so when I opened up, I just told everybody.
Right.
And so that worked out well.
Sure.
And so, but I'm more of a relational person, but I've been thinking a little bit more about my brand and in this whole refining season, and how can I, what's my niche? I finished DBT training.
Good for you.
And I'm, want to do trauma and DBT, and, so from there and addictions, there's no shortage of clients.
That's right.
In that field.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so it was just reaching out to those people that would have those clients.
Exactly.
And putting things on social media that speak to those people.
Exactly. Well, speaking about that, if people want to contact you to set up an appointment to see you, how might they do that? How might they learn about you too?
Well, I'm on all these social media sites. So I'm on Psychology Today. It's Lisa, and it's Duez.
Okay.
And then it's lisadewey.com. And Facebook, same name, and then Instagram is Lisa Dewey LCSW.
Wonderful.
I think, that's probably about the main ones. Pinterest is the same, Lisa Dewey LCSW. I like my Pinterest. That seems like you can get so creative with that area.
Oh, sure. So I guess.
Yeah, and then I've been pinning my blog, and I think it's a good medium. I talked with somebody about that part. And I think
so maybe we can get the Journey followers to check that out and to see how you're doing it, and you might give them some ideas. So that's a wonderful idea.
I just did boards on basically what my clients were talking about in therapy.
That's a great idea. Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Lisa, I really appreciate you coming on here today and kind of updating us on some of the things that are going on in your life, and can't wait to talk to you next month, especially about those systems, and because I think that's so critical. It's not one of the first things that you think about. You were talking about, you're in this kind of season of refining and stuff like that, and I think when you get along to this point in your practice, you start to have time to think about those types of things, and even how you refine your systems to make things work more efficiently. So I'll look forward to talking to you about that next month.
Good. Yes. Happy to help.
Okay. All right, Lisa. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, well, wasn't that a great episode with Lisa? She has some really good things going on right now, and I think the thing that really stuck out to me in this episode was how she said she wanted to be a customer service therapist. Isn't that great how she kind of characterized that? There's a lot of that in my practice too. I know that I'll have a lot of people call me and they'll say, you know what, I've checked out with other psychologists. I wanted to get an evaluation, but nobody ever returned my call. And you're the first one who did. And, I take pride in that and really wanting to be a customer service therapist, kind of like what Lisa was talking about there. And I think that if you do that, especially if you're just now starting off in your private practice, that's great advice to kind of incorporate into your practice. And that will really set you apart from a lot of people who don't have that kind of a mindset. So I really want to encourage you to do that in your own practice. Well, if you'd like the show notes for today's podcast episode, please visit my website, chrisquarto.com, ChrisQuarto.com. And by the way, I have all the other podcast episodes there too. And really, I think if you haven't listened to the ones where the four therapists were paired with the experts in private practice development, do yourself a favor and listen to those, because those are really some powerful episodes. Okay, well, on our next podcast episode, we'll have Amanda Petrick on, and we'll talk to her and see what's been going on for the past several months as well. And until next week, have a great rest of the week.